So today is July 25th, right? 2023. It is a 777 day, and I am with the beautiful Dr. Jen Corbin. She is not only a chiropractor, but my friend, colleague, and I honorably say you're my sister in chiropractic, but also I feel like you are a soul sister too. The more we connect, I just feel a resonance that goes beyond this time and space. So thank you for being here and for saying yes to this. And I just want the listeners to know the inspiration, I guess, for then there's a couple of things. First of all, I have felt and guided to do these because I feel we all have wisdom. We all have acquired wisdom, we have divine wisdom, and it doesn't matter what we're doing or being in the world. We are worthy of the wisdom that we are bringing in to the planet at this time. And however we share that, however we share it in our service, in our work in the world, if you will, our words that we share, however it comes through, we are definitely worthy of that. And so I wanted to bring women on in the community. And Jen, if that's, is it okay if I call you Jen?
Yes, please.
Even though you're Dr. Jen. She is a catalyst in so many ways. I just feel this in my heart because when I'm with you, something ignites between us, something magical comes through, and we usually have to look at the clock and go, we better stop and get on with the rest of our day. And it's been I feel like I can say this for both of us, and you can say it too, but I believe we can each agree there's been a gift for each one of us.
Yeah. For
this connection, even if we haven't, I believe we'll be connecting more frequently than we have in the past. So I wanted to record this because I feel like every time we do this, these gems of wisdom come through, these pearls come through, that probably the average person may not have heard. We may not have had time to really share it all, in practice with them. Maybe in the health talks or wellness talks you might have given, but there's so much depth and so much that is a part of what we do, not only as chiropractors, but also as women, as mothers, as wise women, as teachers, and facilitators of healing. So with that, I'm just going to say, Dr. Jen, she lives down the street. Her practice is down the street from me, maybe a mile.
Maybe.
And is it 17 years you've been in practice?
17.
Yeah. And I would love for you to share with the audience, listeners, just however you wish to introduce yourself and your journey into chiropractic, and let that be the lead into wherever this conversation is going to, where the divine and innate within you and innate within me and the universal and intelligence takes us today. So
thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have a conversation with you, and I have really felt blessed by our interactions and our relationship. And specifically, as of late, I felt a call in my own heart to connect with other women. And I didn't really know where God would have me to go to connect. And I desire to remain within my value set. If I feel like God is the bullseye, and then family is the next ring, and then work is the next ring after that, the call that I feel like God has given me to do considered work, and then subsequent rings from there. I want to make sure that I'm honoring my first value set and not sacrificing an inner ring for something that's an outer ring. And so as a mother, I have been raising up 2 children with my husband, and they are now 10 and 13. And so I feel the call a little bit more that I am to branch out and to be around other women of wisdom and love and connection. And that's what I really felt, was that I really wanted connection. And you are such a connector and so kind and so loving, and so much wisdom within you, that the things that you would say have literally changed my life. I was talking about some very difficult times with other women in my life, and my husband's family, for example. And just shortly after our conversation, a phone call was given after that. And so I just can feel the connectedness of God in our lives. And it really spurs on, then to what we do, because our goal as chiropractors is to connect people and to connect with people. So when we do the adjustment here, when I do an adjustment, I say your power's on. Your brain is connected to your body, and your body is connected to your brain, and shine your light bright. Go into this world and be the light, and to not dim that. The world and people, we can be so worried about what people think. We can be so worried about what's the latest trend, or we can be worried about the things that we have to do in a day. There's always that opportunity to worry. And yet we have to remember to come back to what we were put on this earth for. And I believe that is to love one another. And I believe that is to connect with one another. And in the past few years, we have had something that has done completely the opposite. So I've been really thankful to really stand for what it is that I value. And I really see it as like a warrior. I got to put the arm up higher, like a warrior pose. That is like, I will not sacrifice. And this is important to me, and this is why. And I'm telling those things to myself, not to other people necessarily. And so I feel like one of the greatest things that I felt called to discuss with people is not just your time management, but your energy management. And so I really feel that this is something where we could talk a little bit about how are we managing our energy, and how are we managing the call that God has for us. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to talk about these things.
Well, I am too. And so I think this leads into what we talked about a little bit before, as far as starting your day.
Yes.
And so do you want to share your, and this may have evolved. I know how I commence with my day has evolved over the years in different ways, in terms of before I was married, or while I was married, and then as a single mom, what I was doing, and then now having an empty nest, and I really don't even know that I'm beyond that. And so my starting of my day has actually shifted. So do you want to share a little bit about that? Does that feel like the right place to?
Yes. Because I love that you even brought up the different seasons. I love analogies, because we do need to look at our life as seasons, because in the weather, for example, we know that at some point towards the end of winter, you kind of start to get a little bit tired of the cold. You maybe just can't wait to start seeing things bud and bloom. And yet that dormancy period is also a blessing, and we can recognize that. So I definitely believe that we need to love and honor the seasons of our lives, and realize that this too shall pass, that in this season, I feel called and I have, energy to do certain things. And so it has evolved for me in my morning routine. But the one thing that is true is that I believe that we all should have some sort of a rhythm or a routine. Routine to me seems very, that's a hard word for me. I'm funny about words, but rhythm to me feels more in the rhythm of music, or I just feel like a rhythm is something that could be exciting, as opposed to something called a routine. So, and then you're able to go with what you're called to in the morning. But the morning time is really important, because it's when we first wake up after having a rest. It's when our body is in its parasympathetic mode, and it's rest and digest. And it's imperative that we have that so that our body, our temple of the Holy Spirit, is not at a full pace, pedal to the metal all the time. And so when we wake up, we have this refreshing period. We have this opportunity to see it as new. And 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day is what a human has. And 90% of those are the same as yesterday. So the reason why the morning routine is important to me is that I am choosing what I will be thinking. That's one of the main containers, this boardroom of our mind, that I feel like is imperative to put in there the things that grow us. And there's research, and Dr. Joe Dispenza is an author. He also has a show through Prime on Gaia called Rewired. And he talks about putting your brain in certain brain patterns. And one of the best ways to do that is in the morning time. And certainly you can do that all throughout the day, especially when you need to catch yourself. But so this morning routine really and it's also come from another author, Hale, Hal, Elrod, Elrod. He has the Miracle Morning book. He's a gentleman that's overcome cancer 2 times. And so what Dr. Joe Dispenza is talking about in this body of research is that when we get up and we go to our phone, to our email, to our task list that we've maybe even written the night before so we don't forget the things we have to do, it places our brain in hindbrain function. And it is known that hindbrain function is then reactionary. So you're reacting to the world as opposed to doing the opposite, which is waking up in the morning and doing a rhythm that prepares your brain, mind, body, and spirit for that day. And I do believe that it's important to do each day, and that we have mercies that are good for us each day. And so I really think it's important to start with, deciding for your own self what would be an ideal day. Before you even start this morning routine or rhythm, what is an ideal day for you? That trust enough that you are loved and cared for enough that what is inspiring to you and what would feel good to you and what would be ideal is something that could be created in your life, that you are worthy of the things that are your heart's desire. And so even just sitting uninterrupted, just even taking 1 hour and just really seeing in your mind's eye, maybe some inspiring music, envision what does it feel like to be living your dream life? And what about that life brings happiness? Imagining a day where you love every moment of your day, what does it feel like? And really get in that feeling process. And so for a rhythm, I usually really like to wake up and do meditation or prayer. I really like to do a little bit of reading because I love to read. And so in order to get that in my day, I like to make sure that I do it first thing because it's important. I also really like to exercise. I like to get up and get my blood pumping and flowing. And so those are just a few things that I do in order to get my day going. And I think that it should be taking different forms for every person and in different ways. Maybe you're the type of person that likes to exercise after work, for example. And so you can, handle the energy that the kids have when you get home or those types of things. So I really love a morning routine, though, a morning rhythm. I think that it is imperative.
Well, I really feel it's important, as you mentioned, that everybody find what that is for them. It's kind of like when I was, people still sometimes ask me this, but they would especially ask me this when I was in the field of exercise physiology, like, what's the best exercise? Well, first of all, it depends on your goals, what you're wanting to achieve, but also what you're going to do. What are you going to commit to? And I feel like the morning rhythm, if you will, is a commitment. I like to call it also a devotional. It's a devotional time for me, especially because I want to be in devotion and communion with higher higher aspects of myself, as well as with the creator. I want to spend that time because as I'm pretty sure, once you leave your house or at a certain point after that morning, I'll just call it maybe even a ritual, the rhythm, this ritual that you might have, you hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, especially once you get to your office or studio and you have a very defined schedule that takes place.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, I feel like I want to go. So for me, what I've discovered too is that puts me into a little bit more of a masculine energy framework. But there's a part of me that likes to be more in a flow. And
Yeah.
so it's part of me giving that flow time, that rhythm time, whatever that is, for me to get in clear and reconnected, so that I can do the other things and be of service too. And for me, that helps bring some balance. That helps me also with my energy management, if you will. But something you said, and I want to bring this up because you were talking about I'm going to just say the word focus, but that may not be the right word. It's like putting aside whatever it was from yesterday so that you're fresh today and what you wish to actually, the energy you wish to bring. I like to see it as something we're bringing in and we're going to use it to help create or manifest in our world. So if it's however you want to feel, maybe you're going to bring in joy today.
Right.
I don't know quite how, maybe there's certain things, through my day, I just want to be in a place and state of frequency of joy. So one of the things that I have done in my meditation group is that we will do a certain thing where we ask, even from the higher realms, from the heaven, what am I to seed? What am I to actually seed today? And see what comes in. So it's not just me, but it's like, okay, how can I be of service to the higher realms? Am I going to seed joy? Am I going to seed, sometimes it might come in colors. I'm actually seeing purple today. For some reason, I'm going to bring in, and that might feel like transformation or whatever. I'm going to stay in the garden. I don't know. It just comes in different ways. So I feel like that's similar to what you're speaking of. And it's that place where you also spoke, where we're coming from that place of creating and connection and not reacting.
Right.
Autopilot, which is such a theme with what we do.
Driving force in our life, the subconscious and those tapes that are played over and over and over. And we can really see when we are kind of in a cyclical pattern and we want to break free from that. And we have to learn how to rewire and refire our neural networks into something that serves us. Because a lot of times those old stories don't necessarily serve us.
Right. And which is interesting because that one card I pulled an oracle card, was about a new story, right? And alignment. And so do you, I know you do, so, but I feel like it's important for our audience to hear this. So when you adjust people, how is that? I mean, as a practitioner and for those people, when they feel that shift, when they feel the difference of before they came in and after they got reconnected on the table with you, I don't know, I just love when they are able to say, especially when they say, I didn't feel bad coming in and I feel so much better.
Yeah. It's so beautiful.
And
such a gift. Sorry.
Do you feel that those, so does it in those moments or those, when you're able to bring the conversation about, do you find that's when you're helping to teach? Because I know teaching is a big part of what you do.
Yes.
Do you find it's easier to do one-on-one? Do you like doing it in a class, helping all these things that we're talking about, but also the tangible experience that your clients have. Am I making it clear? I don't know if my question is clear.
Oh, yes.
I want to know your experience in practice of helping people have the light turn on, basically, of what we're talking about.
Yes, I feel like that too has taken on many different seasons. I've had classes of teaching. I do a lot of one-on-one because we take care of one person at a time. And my desire is to connect, and not just connect, but to provide an amount of love that is unparalleled to what other people get from other providers. That's not to say anything about other providers. It's just to say that I desire a chiropractic experience and a healing journey experience that is literally that, an experience. And I always joke, I do a lot of stuff in laughter, but I always joke, we've got your back, pun intended, because we work on the spine, but the spine is the house for the nerve system. And so, when we're talking about the brain and the spinal cord and the nerves that come from it, this is big. This is the connection to the world, our five senses, our ability to be able to navigate in the world, if we're talking about gait and walking. And so just meeting each person where they are and really trying to find that thing for them that is the most important, because what is important to me is not necessarily what's most important to them. And so by opening up the body's ability to be able to connect in this world with the people that they love and the purpose and the passions that they have, I feel like is unparalleled in this world. There's not very many professions that do touch. And so I just feel like touch is one of my love languages, and that I love people by giving them proper touch. And so when I talk about the morning routine, for example, or the rhythm, it's very important to me that I'm entering into a place that is not me, my own self, my ego, my desires, my whatever mine would be, because I want to be in that spirit and will of God that is listening to the divine as to what that person needs, whether it's in their body, in their spirit, in the connection of touch, in the connection of words. So it really takes a lot of different forms and has had many different seasons as far as teaching.
Well, I can relate to that, because I find anymore, I prefer to connect one-on-one and to really listen to the words that they speak. We talked about how words are important. And I feel like often, if we really listen, they'd let us know other things that are, going on. And sometimes it can be the tone. It can be like I said, like I mentioned before, that the ringing of that crystal. Sometimes, I don't know if you've ever had this, where something just resonates higher.
Yeah.
When someone speaks or something shifts, and it's like you're hearing that music. I don't know where you just went.
I'm not sure either. Does it automatically?
Okay. And I think that is not only a clue for us, but I think it's important I'm hearing the word wisdom to bring that forward for them to, like, either, when you said this is what I felt, or did you hear what you just said? And often there's many things I have found that when they start connecting and realizing I think it's the power that exists, the universal intelligence, innate intelligence, and how things are expressing within the body. The body is constantly telling us what is of the highest order, if you will, to be seen, to be heard, to looked at, and to then help people find their own way. Because the whole daily getting back into that connection, I think is part of the, my brain just went. Oh, they spend, not they, we all do. I mean, because we both go get adjusted, you know,
Yes.
the time that you spend outside of our office is so much greater, is your life. So the practices of daily living, whether it's the morning rhythm, devotional time, as well as how you eat and whatever else you may be doing, you spend more time, energy in that space than you are on the table with us or with whoever practitioner. But the more in tune your nerve system, and I believe it's helping, it's shifting the energy so that we can be in a more balanced state, because we can't be walking around in total parasympathetic mode.
Right.
We've got to find that. But I like to think of it as more of a Zen. I call it like a Zen state. We're more in a state of peace, but we're still going out throughout the world. So we can, no matter what's going on, we're in that state of peace. That the nerve system can respond, react, reroute, do whatever it needs to do, and come back to that place of being in our center here, as well as in our center here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel like, so I think it's really important, whatever little bit we are able to give them. And it doesn't, like when I said this about your comment was actually, it was short, but it was huge. It was packed with energy and with a volume of meaning that is like, I had nothing else to say when I read that comment. I think that that's kind of what's important when we are with people, and they're only with us with a short time, that we give them not only that reconnection, but we give them those, whatever will serve them, whatever you're receiving that will to offer to them, invite them, so that it can be rich, a richness as they go out their day until they come in again.
And I really see that too. I love analogies, but I even have a cup here. And, you know, I really feel that in order to experience the ability to be able to give to others, we really have to think about our cup, you know, full and overflowing so that we can give to others. So a basic analogy, if you're flying and something happens on the plane, these oxygen masks come down, and the attendants and everyone there, whether you have children with you or a partner or whoever's with you, you are to secure that oxygen mask first. And I really, you know, even though we care so much about our children or we care so much about that person that we're with, if we're not able to take in that breath, then we aren't able to assist someone else. And so it's so important to, number one, secure that oxygen mask for yourself first so that you can be of assistance to others in this life experience, to be able to give love and joy and to be this light. And so to think about then, if you have this full cup, and we understand that to be full and overflowing means that you can give to other people. Well, then if you have things that are coming in and poking holes in your cup and it's a leaky cup, so to say, then that spurs me into the next thing that I feel really important to say, which is, what are the things that we need to cease doing? What are the stop doing things? To know what steals your peace is almost more important than knowing what gives you peace, because we need to be able to shore up our own cup so that we are able to be full and overflowing in this life. And so that's why I feel like this morning routine is one of the first things I felt like was really key to share, and you know, allowing your brain body connection to this world and to your purpose and to your plan. And then secondarily, when you said seed, what came to me immediately is I needed to know what things to stop doing, because I have a lot of hats. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. I'm a wife. I am a teacher. I am just so many things that I could go on and on and on. I'm a gardener. Like there's just so many things that I love to do. But that isn't necessarily who I am. Who I am is a child of the Most High God. And to constantly keep bringing ourselves back to that source and filling up our cup so it's full and overflowing so that we can give to other people, I think is paramount to fully understand.
And that's really beautiful. And that's a great analogy, because I know myself in cultivating my connection to the Creator, and really helping myself become as pure a vessel as I can to be not only for my own life, but to be of service. I feel like I've had to look at things that I need to let go of. And we've talked about this in terms of contradictions. I know we both have listened to Patrick Jim Tempo and his paraphrasing of Ayn Rand, and I'll let you share that if you want to. But I think that's an important note to take note of what we're in contradiction to, as well as what is leaking, because I think that is a major leak, but also things that are maybe of sabotage, or even robbing us of the energy of where we could be putting it to of greater abundance. And I don't necessarily mean abundance in just a lucrative abundance, but I mean abundance in the creation of, if one of our things to be here on this planet is to bring joy, there's multiple ways that could come through, whatever role you are in, whether as the teacher, the daughter, the mother, the gardener. So yeah. I'll let you share that, because I know I think I've brought it up before, but I know we hold many mentors of the same mentors, and who have helped us shape our way of looking at things and who we are, and the journey doesn't end. The journey of our own.
Thankfully.
I mean, we're constantly in a place of checking, rechecking, reconnecting, finding our own alignment. But I don't know why, when you said this, I really want to have you talk a little bit more about it. Is that place of what it feels like to me, that morning connection, however you're guided, to do that, really gets you in alignment with I believe it's your body, heart, your soul, and the Creator. I believe it gets all of that together, so that you can go out and serve from a full vessel, from an overflowing vessel, to your husband, your children, your extended family, your friends, your clients,
even people you don't know in a store, driving, allowing people to get into a lane. I mean, this can go in so many, we really need to think small in a lot of ways, because God is so big, but we need to remember the small things. And I think when we are feeling good and feeling connected to our purpose and, whose we are, I really feel like that we can even do those smaller things. It's not just for the people that I know, it's the people that I endeavor to know. And I really felt that call that I really needed to have more relationships. So I've been a mom, and I go, I do mom and work and mom and wife and all those lovely things that are such gifts. And then there was a point where it was like, ooh, I just really feel the call that I am needing some sisterhood. And so I'm really, really thankful to know what it is that I value. It comes back to this bullseye, as God, family, career, what we do, or work. And so contradiction is something where it's in opposition of that which you value. So for example, a very easy example, and this one I have to constantly continue to rework and make sure, but it's exercise. I feel that in order to be healthy, it is important to exercise. Exercise can take many different forms. It could be simply walking. It could be simply, moving your body in some way is considered exercise. And so if I believe in order to be healthy, that's a value set that you need to exercise, but I'm not doing that, then I'm in contradiction. And so what our mentor says, one of the gentlemen that we've learned from, is the level of contradiction is equal to the level of destruction. So while exercise is something that will compound over time, and usually I'm able to keep that in, there's days where I have some contradiction. But if it's a bigger thing, I feel like thoughts are so big that we need to really evaluate, okay, are the thoughts that I'm having that are leading me to these emotions, and emotions, as Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, are records of the past, something that was imprinted so heavily that you can remember it in such a way that it could even evoke emotion again in the same way. Is that something that's serving you? Because we can have joyful memories, we can have joyful emotions, or we could have, non-joyful. And so I think it's just really, really important to keep assessing, what things are in alignment with your value set and which things are not. And it's really important to remember that our body is weighed down by gravity. So we walk on this earth because gravity is part of the earth. And so that keeps us down onto the ground. We're not like on the moon where we've seen possibly or in the space shuttle where people are floating. And so what's interesting is our body is held by gravity, by the laws of gravity, but our mind is not. And so one of the things that I've learned as well is letting go to rise, letting go of the things that are in my thoughts, in my mind, and maybe in some of these cyclical events that have been maybe traumatic in some way, learning that you have the ability to let go of things in order to rise, that your thoughts are not held by gravity.
I love that analogy, that it's not held by gravity. And I really feel more and more, it's a call for us to really come into our heart and to use our heart as a navigation system, and to really start feeling, because our mind can take us to all sorts of places. So I think it takes, can we take that, whatever that is, and run it through the heart system to discern, is this a value or not a value? Is this of alignment or not of alignment? Mm-hmm. And then using it from that perspective to really fine tune. I think there's sometimes we have to fine tune what we're perceiving and what we're looking at and what we're thinking, even. Because
that could even go with our eating, right? Because, how do you choose to see that health food item, like the green smoothie, for example, that I really recommend for people? Do you see it as something like, oh, I have to drink this, I have to, as opposed to, oh, I get to flood my body with live nutrients? Like, how we choose to see it is really important.
Well, and I've had that happen with people too, who have like food allergies. Let's just say, we talk about, and they want to, so they're still eating wheat, or they're still eating dairy, they're still eating eggs, and yet they feel horrible. Their body is telling them directly that this isn't serving them. And I know myself, it becomes a choice of like, I want to feel good. And so I choose, it's a choice, to not eat certain foods because I know my body doesn't react well. It really robs me, as far as like energy, it really robs me of energy. I could feel really like I'm going to pass out. I feel like I'm so fatigued, or it kind of becomes a drain over time. And so I think it comes back to our value system.
Yeah.
And making those choices. And it's interesting how, at least my experience is, once I really realize my values, that green smoothie actually tastes pretty good.
And it really does.
You
And
know?
it really does. It is exciting too to think about it, not just in our thoughts, but like in our choices for our mind, for our body, for our spirit. We really have the opportunity to be on a journey in all those areas, not just searching for a destination, and to really choose to step out of the comfort zone and know that this may also be a season, because even with allergies and food allergies, a lot of the times once this body goes through this journey of healing and you've removed a substance that is an irritant for a certain amount of time, sometimes, and this was for my own son, he had an allergy to dairy and we did not know it at the time. And gave him the smallest little tip of some ice cream while we were at Disney. This is years and years ago. He's a brand new baby. He's old enough to have ice cream, so he's a year and some. And we had projectile vomiting and labored breathing, and we were entering into a very scary place. And so now he's grown out of that. And that is because we completely removed it. It was absolutely imperative, and I understood the gravity of that. And now he's able to have that again. And so by allowing a season of rest, or by allowing a season of removing something, you can thereby, determine if that item or that person or that certain situation can come back into your life. That it's okay that things go and that maybe doors close because other windows or other doors will be opened. And so it's just an opportunity to trust that you're being guided and to be able to learn that we should be and can be constant learners, and that it's a gift. It's a gift to, as a child starts with infant milk and then works their way to meat, so to say. You can drink spiritual milk, and as you learn and gain wisdom, then you can eat spiritual meat. And so I just am really excited to be on the journey. I'm thankful to be able to have this conversation because it's important to me. It's important for me to see the things that have been what I would consider sandpaper in my life, things that felt like were really, really roughing me up. And I didn't know how to change those. And I didn't know what was going to help that. It was in regards to certain people, and those people weren't going to be going away. And so all of a sudden, at one point, a wisdom came to me that was like, wait a second, this is actually polishing you. This has created within you so much more patience, so much more kindness, because when you experience something that's unkind, you generally don't want to do that to another person. So, I just feel like more fruit was produced, and it was not sandpaper. It was a polishing cloth, and that was by a choice. That was by a wisdom choice that was given to me, that I could see all of these great things that came from it. And now I see it completely different.
Well, and I believe that's the beauty of wisdom. When we gain wisdom from any sort of, let's say, a wound, if you will, or adverse situation, there is really this gift that is in it. If we're open and willing to see it from that perspective. Again, I think it comes back to similar to what we said, are we working from here? Are we working from here? Are we working from here and our heart, so that we can actually view it from a different place? And I love the analogy of the polishing cloth. And it also reminds me, there's a story of a Buddha where the monks had covered it in mud to hide it, to protect it. And maybe you've heard this. But underneath it, it was in gold.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like the mud is how life may have, it felt like life was slinging things at you that weren't fun, or, but really there's this gift, this golden gift in it of wisdom, if we're able to to really look at it from a higher perspective and allow that. And the fact that what you just said too about, seasons, we may have to stop doing something or maybe not have someone in our life for a while. And I think then the journey that we do inwardly, whether it's healing through the body or healing something else, we may allow that to come back in. It doesn't mean it's coming back in the same, well, we're different, number one.
Right.
But there may be parameters, maybe we don't eat certain things, we can only eat it in a certain way, or there may be, some, I don't know if I want to say that. I think when we own our worth in all different ways, then I think we can come into whether it's whatever situation or relationship in a different way. And it may still be like that person can't come in, but now it may be we can come in because I've sealed up those leaky spots, those leaky places and I can own my energy and my worth and and my wisdom and come from a different perspective.
Exactly. And I could say just from my own experience that I came from less of a victim mentality in that moment as well. That I know whose I am, and I know that I was knit in the womb and for a purpose, and that the hardships are really blessings. That if we can find the blessing, there's even signs out there, and I went and got one, but make lemonade from lemons. If life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And I just really see myself as kind of that way more and more. And I believe that's because I've grown more and more, and I am interested in giving love because I know the magnitude of which I am loved. So I think it's important to know your worth and to know how loved you are. And that will be the measure to which you are able to love. And so it's important to have that self-reflective time. It's important to rise up as a warrior within yourself that has been given to you, not on your own will, but that knowing that I could do this battle if it's part of what God has for me. And I can do that with strength, even if I don't feel strong, because we are qualified as we come to the call.
That's beautiful. So is there anything else that you wish to share? I feel like that is actually a beautiful place to maybe bring closure. Is there anything else that your heart is longing and wishing to elaborate on? Or
I just want to say I really feel I love families. I love all of the parts of a family, so the husband and the children, but women are, like you had said a while ago, the heart of the home and kind of a hub, so to say. And so this is not relying on other people necessarily, even as close as they are to us, to necessarily be on this journey, but as your light continues to increase and you continue to shine brighter and brighter and brighter, that will naturally attract those that you love around you. So the work is within our own selves and with, our higher power, our divine God. And so it really is important to choose yourself first. That's the oxygen mask first. That is important to understand your own value and the amount to which you are loved.
So this came up a couple of times, and I don't know if it's something you want to talk about here or not, but didn't you have a gathering of women at your home?
I did. It was through that Rewired series.
Yeah.
There is a show that's 13 episodes, and it's on Gaia, which is a subscription through Prime. It's $12 a month, but you could certainly go through the 13 episodes in 1 month. They're about 20 minutes long, 25 minutes long. And I really recommend, if anybody does choose to do it, that you do episodes 1 and 2 together, or maybe 1, 2, and 3, and kind of group them like that, because they are shorter. So you could almost make it like the length of a movie almost. And I watched that series and treated it like it was a class. I stopped, I took notes, I rewound it, I started it again, because I wanted to learn how to rewire and refire. And so this particular teacher actually was in a bike race when he was younger and had his back broken. He was a chiropractor at the time. And so his life as he knew it was completely different. And all he had in that moment was his mind. He could only lay face down and be taken care of. And so he decided in that moment, well, I have my mind, so I am going to use what I have. And he decided that he was going to rebuild his spine one vertebra at a time in his mind. And if he got distracted, he was going to start over. So I really think that it is important. I think personally, I like to learn from people that are passionate about what they do. We're in an information age right now. And so information is everywhere. But to be able to assimilate that information and use it for your own self, thereby becomes wisdom. And so I think it's really, really important to continually evaluate busy versus productive. You know, if you're in a season of life where you don't know how you're going to put that certain thing in, then maybe it isn't at this season of life that it's meant for you. But I really do feel that learning how to rewire and refire and change the brainwave patterns is something that is important and can be done.
I didn't know if you were still having, because you had mentioned sisterhood before, and I didn't know if you were still having these women gatherings and if that was still ongoing, or if it was just kind of an intro to get people to get their feet wet, you know, and embark on that. So
it was an intro, and I didn't know exactly where that would go, but I was brave to consider, you know, inviting people over to watch something that was important to me. And
right.
We did the first 2 episodes, and we haven't done anything with it after that. But I certainly have the vision for it. I think that it is me calling forth the people that are meant to be there more, you know, that want to continue on a journey.
Right. Which is life itself. Life itself is a journey, and healing is a part of that, is a process within that. But ultimately, it's finding the greatest, I believe, the greatest life expression we can for wherever we are, and that we continue to be curious and to find the wisdom, our own wisdom, and to live fully, authentically from that place. So. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll put your contact information in the comments with this, if anyone is wanting to seek any more of your leadership, as well as your wisdom and gifts of service. So thank you, Jen. And I hope you have the most beautiful day that you've already imagined and seated within. And may we go forward and share our love with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for your love. I love and appreciate you greatly.
Thank you. So I'm gonna stop the recording, but let's stay on.